This is an Audio Wool original.
This episode of Frightday is brought to you by Gates of Hell Chipotle Hot Sauce by Frightday. Bold chipotle flavor blended with habanero peppers for just the right burn. Kissed with garlic and passion fruit. Zero human blood, like none at all. Visit shop.frightday.com before the first batch disappears.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you'd like to support us, go to patreon.com/frightday.
It up and then I just cried for a while.
Why would you cry about that?
Because
What is that? Is that a Mediterranean salad?
it's kamut.
I don't know what that means.
It's an ancient grain that cures depression.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
I'm good.
All right. It is Frightday. I'm your host, Byron. Late arrivals and navigating unfamiliar surroundings can be annoying obstacles while on the road. But at the end of the night, after a full day of traveling, there's nothing worse than an Airbnb blunder. Especially when your host isn't answering and there's a complete stranger in your space, making himself at home. But what if this housing headache is only the beginning? It's going to be a Justin Long night tonight as we review Zach Cregger's Barbarian. I'm joined tonight by Kelly.
Oh, yep.
And Sam can't make it because he's talking with his team about the pilot.
Oh my god. Best character.
Yeah?
You just made me smile again.
Yeah.
You hear that they're doing a return to full walrus?
I heard about that. Yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Wow, I wonder if they're going to do it almost like, Human Centipede was first sequence, something sequence, and then final sequence or full sequence.
You think they're going to have a walrus
It's
made
going to be
for him?
Tusk 2 full walrus.
Oh my god. Full walrus is the best phrase to ever come out of any horror movie.
I don't even think that came out of a horror movie. I think you made that up.
Yeah, but it came out of that movie.
Yeah, but they didn't say it ever. They never like, you never go
yeah, but
full walrus.
I don't really feel like I could give myself creativity points for that. It's just the best phrase that's ever been uttered.
All right. Well, I'm happy Kevin is finding so much success with this new Clerks movie that he's able...
Didn't he get Me Too'd? I thought he got Me Too'd.
Why would Kevin Smith get Me Too'd?
I don't know. I assumed that he did.
No, he's doing great. He had a heart attack.
Maybe that was it.
You cannot just assume that when something bad happens, sounds like they were bad to women.
I mean, so sometimes it does mean they were bad to women, and other times it means that they're getting screwed over. It's a combination of situations.
It's true, and we might just talk a little bit about that
Oh, boy.
tonight.
That one was clear, though.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll talk about that. We're going to make this a short because I want to... Sorry for calling it that, first of
You are
all.
feeling Kelly's vibe today.
I guess so.
We are vibing hard
We're
in an AQI of 189 right now.
It's Silent Hill where we are right now.
There is a mountain that is really close that we cannot see.
Can't see about 30 feet back.
We might actually have cancer by the end of the episode.
Oh, I'm going on a run after this, but I've been wearing a mask.
Yeah, I think you're dumb.
I think it works.
I think you're dumb.
They say the problem about this, I read about it, is that the particles are small enough to get in your blood through your lungs.
Fuck. So what happens when they get in your blood? What happens
I
then?
just take some time to filter it out, I suppose.
I'm drinking wine so it kills it. Out of a mug.
Well, no.
Out of a Yeti mug, I am
Okay,
drinking
well,
wine.
great.
This is not an advertisement.
I wish it was.
Yeah. We should. Why aren't we sponsors for
Okay, so you just did why we had to re-record Lemuria again.
Oh, sorry. I
Yelling
spiked.
loudly.
Why aren't we sponsored by Yeti? I feel like that's a real natural
I don't know, Kelly.
alignment.
Maybe you should think about that while you put away this
not
large
putting away anything.
stack of DVDs. These copies of Crossroads aren't going to put themselves away.
I refuse to work in these conditions.
It's time for staff picks.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
Well, you're going first.
I'm going first?
Yes.
Okay, well, I will. We forgot to explain why. I want Barbarian episode to come out so everyone has time to see it over the weekend.
Okay.
That's why we're kind of rushing doing a short episode.
Okay, yes.
Just want to further explain. So last film we covered was Beast. Later in the show, we're talking about Barbarian. This is a bit of a carryover from last week. You didn't even talk about Crossroads at all when I said that. Usually you have
I don't know Crossroads.
Crossroads, the Britney Spears movie?
I did see Britney Spears in concert.
Okay, well, it also stars Zoe Saldana, Taryn Manning, Dan Aykroyd, Kim Cattrall.
That's a crew. What the fuck was that about?
And Justin Long.
Oh, nice connection.
Yes,
Do you listen to his podcast ever?
I don't. I know you do.
I mean, I haven't in a long time. I just really
Okay.
like him as a human.
I've seen some dynamics between him and his ex-girlfriend, Drew Barrymore.
She seems like a really good ex to have.
Yeah.
She's like
She
the
invites
most
her exes
civil.
on the show, and they're always like squeezing hands. And we had a great time when we were.
Who's she with? Does she?
She's with someone else. But we talked Beast. We're doing Barbarian. This is a bit of a, like I said, a carryover from last week. A film that caught my eye early on the VHS shelves at my local Hastings Entertainment store. I'm talking Savage, but not just Savage. Savage Bees.
Some kind of bugs killed Zeb? Bees. It's a stinger.
What makes you think there's something special about this one?
Scores of Brazilians were killed when they were attacked by swarms of the so-called Africanized bees. The Africanized bees attack when annoyed by color or sound.
It's the eeriest, most frightening thing I ever heard.
Okay.
Eco horror, Kelly. You know I'm a big fan. I was talking with your husband about it yesterday when I came up here a day early for recording.
You guys are a bit over the top.
We have a lot of fun. Underrated horror subgenre. When a boat from Brazil turns up in New Orleans with a crew of dead men aboard, local authorities are perplexed. Not long after, Sheriff Donald McHugh's dog turns up dead too. And the local coroner, played by Michael Parks, prominently featured
Tusk.
in Tusk, identifies the culprit as killer bees. Realizing that the swarm must have come in on the boat, McHugh and his entomologist,
I love an entomologist.
girlfriend,
Can I tell my joke?
what would that be?
You know, some people can't tell the difference between an entomologist and an etymologist, and those people bug me in ways I can't put into words.
So a mom joke, then.
I mean, I think it's just a nerd joke, but
right,
it's a good one.
McHugh's entomologist girlfriend, Janine, they race to find the hive before the bees can disrupt the Mardi Gras festival, of course.
I mean, I've never been to Mardi Gras. It always has struck me as something that would be fun to do once.
I don't know if I care to go. Seems like a lot of...
I mean, I don't like the spring break woo, but like I really like the music
You
and
know,
the culture.
South by Southwest is pretty much got Mardi Gras vibes on the weekend. I've seen enough. I've been in enough crowds. I don't need to be doing
but you
that.
don't, it's the culture that I'm looking for.
A Swarm of Death is loose in New Orleans, Kelly.
Okay.
1976, directed by Gerdon Trueblood. Fun name, co-wrote with Richard Matheson a movie called Soul Survivor from 1970 and 1983's Jaws 3D. But yeah, much like most eco-horror films from this era, piranha, frogs, squirm, the script is bad, but that 70s gritty charm makes up for it. So if you're looking for something to watch, potentially in the background, maybe with your friends and no one paying attention, maybe check out Savage Bees. It's a film that I forced my dad to watch one time when my mom was out of town because I'd always seen this VHS.
Oh, God, you're weird. The things you put your family
It
through.
was very kind of him to tolerate this film.
Okay, I've got one.
Yeah.
This might have the lowest rating on Metacritic that I've ever...
You talk about some stinkers, Kelly.
Yeah, this one's got a 22.
Why do you do this? This
Well-
isn't supposed to be recommendations of films.
Because it has Napoleon Dynamite and Justin Long in it.
Is it? Oh,
It is a horror movie.
Okay.
It's a horror comedy.
that's fine.
A paranormal obsessed man mounts his own investigation into the beyond with his depressed best friend, misfit nephew, a cable access medium, and an overeager security guard. How could it possibly be bad? It isn't. It's woefully underrated. Watch it. Name of the movie is Ghost Team.
Come in! Come in! Somebody come in! Oh no! Oh God! Don't do that, you dick!
You remember when you were a little kid, you used to dream of owning your very own print and copy shop?
Nope.
Yeah, me neither. Thank you. This guy came into my shop today.
I have a broken down old barn. It's probably haunted.
Say haunted?
It's just very, very creepy.
If we could document some ghost activity, we can actually do something with our lives.
I'm in.
They have a tech specialist guy.
Well, that's what we need.
He's a genius.
We don't have night vision goggles per se, but I do have 2 digital cameras with night vision settings. I duct taped them to a baseball helmet.
Get on the ground!
We're putting together this little team, and you're obviously tough.
All right, I'll do it. I'd rather not see civilians get hurt on my watch.
You're a civilian, though, because that badge is plastic and you work in a mall.
With any luck, tomorrow morning, I found some ghosts.
Yes!
We've been catching EMF spikes all night long, but no source.
Did you die in this room?
We need to open up a line of communication with them.
If there are any spirits present, let them make themselves known.
You've angered us!
I don't think we're welcomed here.
Has anybody been in the barn since Stan and I were here? Look. Go. This is our chance, go. What was that?
There's a face.
Get out of here.
We got a face. We got a face.
2016, good old PG-13er, which means Byron or Sam won't watch it. It's a fun flick. Cheesy. It is not intended to be. It's a horror comedy. Just remember that.
But
going
there's
in.
good horror comedies too, though. There's like Hell
Yes.
Baby or What We Do in the Shadows.
No, this is not What We Do in the Shadows. Don't go in expecting that.
Oh, it's got a David Krumholtz.
I know who he is, but what is he that is so wildly impressive to you?
I mean, most of the things David Krumholtz does, I enjoy.
I like the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Well, I figured you would be a Santa Claus fan. Isn't he the head elf in Santa Claus?
Oh, that's him? Oh, fuck, he goes back to Newsies. He's Newsies. Oh, Lord, I didn't even know that we had a Newsies star in this.
Is he Newsies?
I mean, I think so. Isn't he?
I have no idea. You've never seen that movie and never will.
Oh, maybe he's not Newsies. I really thought he was Newsies.
Adam's Family Values. He's Wednesday's boyfriend from summer camp.
Oh.
Yeah. Love this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's done quite a few like indie mumbly
The
films.
Mexican. He was great in The Mexican.
Well, so he's part of this ghost team. Amy Sedaris is there.
Yep.
That's fun.
And Justin Long,
Of
which was
course.
both of our connections to tonight.
Yeah.
And Napoleon Dynamite.
His name is John Heder, of course.
Yeah, well, his name is Napoleon Dynamite.
I don't know about that.
You know how frequently I tell my daughters, teen, eat your food, because they watched it with me and now they understand. So when they're not eating dinner, that's what I tell them.
That's
all right. So this is my recommendation, you guys. It is fun. You should check it out.
Yeah,
you
but-
need something to laugh about. It is Mercury retrograde, so
Stop.
undoubtedly things are going terribly
Please,
for you right now.
Everything's fine. Everything can't go
Nothing is fine.
Kelly, everything
Things are
can't
horrible
go bad
right now.
for everyone all the time during Mercury retrograde.
I mean, it's
how is that possible?
You know, I've
though?
been having thoughts recently about how I really need to
Short
start
episode.
doing
a short
studies.
episode.
Like I need to start collecting data, and I'm going to. And
Okay.
I'm going to be the person that proves Mercury retrograde.
It's not possible.
I hope that you aren't the next person who's
right.
inducted into the Frightday Society because your
Shoving you-
assignment is going to be connected to that.
Into the back room because it's time, before we lock up, of course, to welcome and initiate some new members to the Frightday Society.
Who is it first?
Well, it would be Liz G.
Okay.
Do you want a hint? We have a currency here.
Ooh, currency.
Canadian.
Oh, fuck. I love Canadians.
A Canuck. Neighbor to the north.
I love Canadians.
America's toque.
Toque?
Toque is another word. That's what they call a beanie.
I just like Zed.
Okay. Well, Kelly, what are we going to make Liz do to let her into this club, which you can join at call.frightday.com?
Okay, so did she pay extra so that she gets less work?
No, it's just a normal new member, but it is in the Canadian dollar.
Okay, Liz, I need you to survey 5 of your closest friends. This is actually real, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to put this information into a Google spreadsheet, all right? You cannot put last names, just first names. And I need you to gather the following information about 5 of your closest friends. They could be family members, that's fine. Okay, 5 things. Number 1, what were the 3 worst things that happened to them in the last year?
Oh my God, she's doing Mercury
along with
research?
along with the dates that those things happened. And number 2, what were the 3 biggest fights that they got in?
I hate this.
In the last year.
Okay.
And approximate dates.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder, but do approximate dates, see what you can figure out.
Yeah.
Okay. And then number 3,
let's wrap it up.
Whether they believe in astrology. Number 4, what their astrological sign is, which I'm just gathering for data because I don't know anything about astrology.
Liz.
Literally the only thing I believe in is Mercury retrograde.
It seems that way.
Okay. And I guess it's just those 4 things. 3 horrible things that happened, 3 biggest fights, whether they believe in astrology, what their astrological sign is, or if they don't know, at least their birthday, not year, just birthday. Okay.
Sorry, Liz. And someone paid a little bit more to join the inner circle, which all IC members should be getting a letter from Kelly. She wrote it
in multiple colors. Are you going to print that in color?
No, I never do. God damn. I don't know why you. Why would different
I was looking at my cross
colors?
stitch pattern the other day and thinking about how I should use different symbols instead of different colors, because that's like what they do on cross stitch patterns. So if you can't print it in color, you have different symbols to go on to know what the different colors are.
Kelly wrote a letter for you.
Yep, I did write a letter for you.
Will A. Welcome.
Hi, Will. Welcome aboard. I would like to assign to you the same exact... God. This is important.
I can tell it's important to you.
It is important.
To you.
What I need to do is maybe create a spreadsheet that we can start sharing with our listeners.
Listen, I cannot tell you yes or no about this, of course, because I have a running club and I do all kinds of stuff that you disagree with.
Sociological and psychological data gathering is way more valuable.
Well, I do that every week when I do my personal...
All right, Bernard, I am Santa Claus and you are just an elf, and I am saying that this is what we're going to gather.
I was just being so respectful.
I know you were. I really appreciate it.
Really
hard.
hard.
You actually did a great job. High five. You did a really good job. I really appreciate it.
Fucking bitch.
But still... we are moving forward, and Will, I need you to follow the exact same instructions I just gave, but because you paid more, you have to do it for 10 people.
Insane. That's insane behavior. But thank you guys so much. And once again, if you want bonus episodes of Behind the Screams every week,
create a spreadsheet real quick here.
Extra episodes of Captain Kelly's Cryptids and Conspiracies, Byron Serial Corner, The Writer's Room, Toast to Toast PM, all kinds of little perks and random packages from us at random times.
And I'm just going to say that I am approaching the holiday season this year very differently, and it is going to include something for our inner circle.
Cult.frightday.com. Check it out. Yeah, well, I guess, like I said, let's just jump right into it. A film that was humming under the radar. Is this the sleeper hit of the year?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about it as we review Barbarian.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Barbarian is a 2022 American horror film written and directed by Zach Cregger. It stars Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and Justin Long.
Life is short.
A young woman discovers the rental home she booked is already occupied by a stranger. I don't know why I did that weird pause there. A young woman discovers the rental home she booked is already occupied by a stranger. Against her better judgment, she decides to spend the night, but soon discovers there's a lot more to fear than just an unexpected house guest. Zachary Michael Cregger, born in Arlington, Virginia, moved to Brooklyn in 1999.
Hold on, when was he born? Like, was he 6 months when he moved, or was he...
I mean, he's a little older than me, I think.
Okay. So he moved during his formative years. I'm just saying that's a little bit telling.
I mean, he moved there to attend New York School of Visual Arts. Ever hear of it, Kelly?
Yes,
it's a good one.
Great school.
Yep. That's where Zach met some funny friends. Sam Brown, Darren...
Aronofsky. Tell me it's Aronofsky.
Trumater. Timmy Williams, who I...
Timmy!
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Come on. We don't need to get in the cartoon fight again.
I'm sorry. Okay. You put South Park in? Oh,
no,
God.
I like South Park.
I was going to say.
So Timmy, though, this guy, I met him once when I was laid over at an airport. I don't know if it was New York or Chicago.
Wait. He's a director named Timmy that you met?
No. These are all his funny friends that he met. And these guys and Trevor Moore, they've formed a comedy troupe called The Whitest Kids You Know.
Oh, yeah, I've actually heard of this one.
Pretty decently popular show on Fuse for a year in 2007, and then it moved to the IFC channel through 2011. In the middle of their run, Trevor and Zach wrote and directed one of those raunchy bro-com films, which of course was a very popular subgenre during the Spike TV generation.
Really?
The movie was called Miss March, and it didn't do very well, but they did get the chance to expand on their Whitest Kids You Know IP with a sketch idea. It was expanded into a feature called The Civil War, on Drugs, which is a historical drama that documented the journey to legalize marijuana during the war between the states. It's pretty fun. I've seen it.
Okay.
You said you knew the name. Have you seen Whitest Kids You Know and all? Any of
No.
those
Can
sketches?
you tell me some of the things that they're involved with?
Oh, they're just goofs and gaffs, funny little bits, online videos that, I mean, most of them are pulled from their IFC show, of course, but a lot of folks returned and revisited the Whitest Kids You Know stuff after the body of the group's founder, Trevor Moore, was found in the backyard of his Los Angeles home.
The world is mourning the loss of comedian Trevor Moore, who died at age 41 on Friday, August 6th. Friends and family of Trevor expressed their heartbreak upon learning of his death, and his wife Amy Carlson says in a statement to Variety, "We are devastated by the loss of my husband, best friend, and the father of our son. He was known as a writer and comedian to millions, and yet to us, he was simply the center of our whole world."
Okay.
So initially, his cause of death was rumored to be due to a moonshining mishap. Apparently, he had a still in his backyard.
Okay, is still code word for meth lab, or was it actually a still?
There was rumor that there was some sort of explosion during the process of shining, but it was later revealed that he was drunk and fell from his second-story porch, which is horribly tragic, yeah. I really liked Trevor, though, and it seemed like he was a really great guy. After Whitest Kids You Know, he got into a lot of children's programming for Disney. He did a show called Just Roll With It, which is a multicam sitcom with improv elements. You know how those multicams have a live studio audience? This is like in the middle, they would ask for suggestions from the audience, which is kind of
actually kind of fun. I mean, but here's the thing, you would have to do really heavy screening for your audience because you don't want a bunch of morons in there.
They're little kids for the most part.
Even more screening.
All right.
Whoa.
Well, he also did a children's prank show called Walk the Plank. Walk the Prank? It must be. I wrote plank, but I'm sure it was prank.
It sounds very punny, so I would imagine.
Like a jackass for children, which is kind of cool.
Well, it depends on what direction they go with it. They could make it really fun or they could make it really boring.
That's true. But for Zach, after Whitest Kids, he played Aaron on the sitcom Friends with Benefits, and then Nick on Guys with Kids, which are both NBC. And then he was Owen on a show called Wrecked, which I believe is on TBS and is fairly popular.
What is it about? That sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, I've never seen it. But
right, short episode. Sorry, go ahead.
Right after that ended, he married Sarah Paxton.
Who was in our movie.
What movie?
She was in Barbarian.
Who was she in Barbarian?
I'm trying to remember, but I remember we looked it up.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that.
Yep.
Zach's in Barbarian, too.
It's a teeny tiny part. I don't remember what it was.
Love Sarah. She's in Cheap Thrills and The Innkeepers and probably a bunch of other stuff that we...
It's funny because we were walking out of the theater and I was having that exact conversation with Sam. I was like, she's from The Innkeepers. You know who she is. I don't know who she is.
And I knew Zach was a good guy after I found out he also worked on that Hulu doc, Sasquatch. He did that with Mark Duplass.
Oh, I really liked that. I know that it wasn't necessarily...
I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I like the stylizing. Is it more of a true crime doc than a Bigfoot doc, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
But Barbarian. He wrote it in his garage as an exercise, like a writing exercise, not intending it to be anything, especially a movie. But it was inspired by the nonfiction book, The Gift of Fear, Survival Signals That Protect Us from Violence, written by Gavin de Becker. And specifically a section of it that encourages women to trust their intuition, not to ignore the subconscious red flags that arise in their day-to-day interactions with men.
Okay.
Oprah loved this book. The Boston Globe called it a, quote, how-to book that reads like a thriller. So he sat down to write this. It was a single 30-page scene that he would incorporate as many red flags as possible. That's this opening sequence of Barbarian that we see, noticing the small things that Skarsgård's character is doing that are waving that flag. It may not be whipping in the wind, but...
Are you doing your spoiler alert?
Oh, yeah, I guess we should probably say that.
Because I was going to say something, and then I was like, I got to wait until you at least spew that.
We'll get there. Cregger, he settled on a woman showing up at the Airbnb, which we were going to talk about late at night, only to find that it had been double booked. That was the only thing that he was setting up at the beginning of his writing exercise.
Okay.
But he became frustrated during that process, thinking it was too predictable, so he decided to introduce a twist that would flip the scene on its head. Quote, I just wanted to write a fun scene for myself, and it ended up being something that hooked me, and I didn't know where it was going, and then it turned into a feature film. This feature film, of course, premiered at San Diego Comic-Con July 22nd, 2022. Folks seemed to like it, and then it was released in theaters September 9th, widely, and here we are.
And I am going to go ahead, and before you say anymore.
Okay.
When you told me about this movie, I didn't listen.
Of course not.
And then when you said that this was the next one you thought we should cover, I pretended to know what you were talking about and said it sounded stupid.
You did say that, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I am sorry, because I was wrong.
It's understandable. A name like Barbarian, it could be a direct-to-video, VOD, IFC Midnight feature that you could take or leave, or it could be something truly unique.
I mean, it was fucking great.
All right, in order for us to have a good conversation about this movie, we should probably do a blanket spoiler warning.
Spoil sport.
But
are you going to give like the whole, you're going to play the music,
I
right?
guess we probably should play the music. It's time for Dead Giveaways. This is the point of the show where we spoil a movie. Barbarian. It's in theaters now. We're holding up 4 thumbs right now. Vertical.
Yes. And Sam's thumbs are up.
Oh, I can see them in the window. Hey, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Hi, babe.
How's the pilot? Oh, he frowned. Oh, darn it.
Who's Megan?
Go check it out. Watch the movie, guys. And return to us. If you don't mind us talking about it, continue listening. Tess Marshall shows up in Detroit for a job interview late at night, pulls up to this house. Unfortunately, she finds out that someone booked it on a different Airbnb-style app, like HomeAway, I believe.
It was HomeAway, actually, which is funny. I was laughing about that because I've often wondered
if this is possible.
Right, if this happens. And
So,
actually, I have a
remember,
friend.
I managed
that's
an
right,
Airbnb
you did.
/VRBO for a very long time.
Yeah.
I think we only used VRBO, so I never had this problem. But I have had problems with people showing up unexpected and me not having cleaned the place and those types of situations. So, like, there are mishaps that can happen in these sorts of booking situations, but don't keep making that face like I fucked up. I know I did.
It's fine. You were trying really hard, and I think you were being taken advantage of.
This property management company
sucks.
They fucked up big time because Tess showed up only to find a guy named Keith there, played by Pennywise the Clown
also,
himself.
Keith. You just don't hear of many Keiths these days, but it's a
Do
great
I know
name.
A Keith? I don't know.
I don't know many Keiths these days.
I think I know a Keith or two.
Old, young?
Well,
short episode, sorry.
Tess met a Keith.
Tess did meet a Keith.
That night, no one answered the number attached to the listing. So they make the agreement that Tess is going to stay in the bedroom, and Keith is going to sleep on the couch.
And then she wakes up in the middle of the night to see him taking his clown makeup off, and things get weird.
Did he sneak out and haunt children's dreams in the middle of the night?
Balloons everywhere.
I do want to say, before that, the red flags that we see, these really subtle moments that...
Keith might be a creep.
Maybe. I don't really know.
I loved... Byron, this is one of my favorite things about the movie and the way that it was done.
Yeah.
Since you gave the spoilers, he's not a creep at all.
Well... we actually don't know that.
We know that he's not. We thought that the climax and the inciting incident was going to be Keith doing something.
Sure.
And it wasn't.
He's just let's just say
he's a normal dude.
Guy.
Right, I loved this because I have very strong feminist feelings on this, but I think that one of the traps we fall into as a society today is reading things way too much into inconsequential signals. Okay,
well,
and I feel
these
like
are the red flags that we're talking about
but
in the writing
they aren't.
exercise.
I would say they weren't red flags, and in fact, my husband, Sam, the one that may or may not be dead, was telling me. When we walked out, he's like, no, I absolutely knew immediately that it was a red herring, that he was not the bad guy. He's like, I knew that immediately. I didn't. I fell for it. They walked me down that path that they intended to walk me down. I walked right down there. I said, oh, yeah, he's creepy. Look at him making that tea. What's wrong with making somebody a cup of tea?
Well, I think it's more interesting because he's also aware of the signals that he's potentially being creepy.
But
but that's just a larger.
Not being creepy.
But you see what I'm saying? Like,
I would say he's aware of the difficulties
down?
that he encounters in fighting the assumption that he's being
Both
creepy.
Bill and Tess are victims of misogynistic violence because the culture that we're in makes him have to be aware of these.
Okay, you're going to get in trouble for calling him a victim in addition, in the same way that she's a victim.
Not. I'm saying they both are.
To different degrees, I would agree. And I think that it's just an interesting thing. I mean, I work with a lot of teenage guys, and watching them try to navigate the nuances of how do you exist in this world without doing the wrong thing, but also without being assumed to be doing the wrong thing, even if you aren't.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be very careful about signals that even 5 years ago you would just take for granted.
Well, when she goes and takes a shower by herself, cinematically it keeps zooming in on her locking the doors and doing these
it's
very...
showing that she's spooked, and it's showing that he knows she's spooked.
Well, and then when she comes out of the shower and he's sitting at the table with a bottle of wine and 2 glasses, and the wine is closed because he does this really uncomfortable speech where he's like...
See, but it was uncomfortable, but for me it was like, I totally understand why he's doing that.
Totally. No,
like, he actually wants to hang out with her and have fun.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to read the situation and know that she's freaked out. It's an awkward situation. It's an era where women are heightened in their fear of what guys might do to them, and he is trying to navigate that clumsily, but in the best way he knows how.
So I'm not arguing it at all. I'm just saying that it was an interesting...
It was super interesting. I think we could do a whole episode just on the nuances of that social commentary in the way that those scenes were filmed.
I mean, Zach said, I listened to an interview with him, and he talked about how, like, horror films are great backdoors for social commentary because, like, the theme is male privilege.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm going to percolate on that.
No, that's what he said.
Oh, he said that. Well, I guess I can't argue with it then.
You could.
That wasn't that. I don't know that that's how I felt about it, but that's interesting that that was his authorial intent.
Another red herring. He's having a rough night of sleep. He obviously has some sort of night terror,
which I wish we would have heard more about. I mean,
that was true.
Fun unanswered questions. I want a sequel.
That. But yeah, they just kind of have an awkward encounter when her door's open in the middle of the night, and she had locked it and closed it. Just closed it.
Just closed it.
Yeah. Freak the next morning. Yada yada yada. Has a great job interview, but the interviewee implies that the neighborhood that she's staying in is very dangerous, and in the daylight, the neighborhood is in a bit of a state. When she returns home from this very successful interview, you can see in the background this homeless gentleman
starting to run towards her
at her at full speed, yelling. It's really cool because it does two things. Like, you can sense that he's trying to stop her from going in, or he's being threatening, which is what her perspective is.
Right.
But as me being suspicious of the situation already,
yep. That was the first point that I started to do the same thing.
Yeah, which is great because, if she would have just listened, what happened next wouldn't have happened.
No.
She wouldn't have found herself in the basement.
So, there's the more overt commentary about how we view the homeless, right? And then there's the more subtle commentary about, can men communicate a little better than frantically running towards a woman who is obviously scared and trying to unlock a door?
Yeah.
And in a place where she's very much outside of her comfort zone. Could he have communicated more clearly by saying, it's dangerous in there, don't go in there?
I mean, he called her little girl.
Not a good... But see, all of those are things, how many dudes in our dad's generation do you know?
True.
That innocently use things like that. It's not intentional, but it causes all sorts of problems.
It does.
For example, getting locked in a basement for multiple weeks and almost killed.
Well, yeah. How'd she get there? She was looking around in the basement for a way out after accidentally locking herself in there and leaving her cell phone upstairs. She finds a rope, pulls it, and a secret door opens, which leads her downstairs further.
And then further.
And then further. But also in the first level of further, she finds a bunch of rooms with video cameras.
Well,
and
she finds
beds.
one room.
Well, that's true.
One room.
And then there's some cages.
That's further down.
That's further down? Okay. Well, I guess...
Further down.
Did she go further down? She didn't go further down until her new friend, because they did get along after a bit. Keith comes back. He doesn't really believe her, though.
But then he stops himself and he goes, wait. And I can see that the wheel's turning in his head, and he's like, I'm being a gaslighting motherfucker right now. I gotta trust her. I'm gonna go check it out. But then here's the thing that I don't understand about Keith. I understand going and checking out the room.
Yeah.
And then when you see the additional room, I don't understand why you would go down there. Okay. Furthermore, he's proven himself to be a rather chivalrous gentleman.
Sure.
Once he's down there, again, this is the communication issue. I think that this movie is about how shitty a lot of men are at communicating. Not that all of them are bad guys, just most of them are really bad at communicating. That's what I'm taking from it. He goes into this basement, something terrible happens, or the basement's basement, or honestly, it looks like a mine shaft. Okay, he's in a fucking mine shaft.
How amazing it is the feeling you get when you see the second basement stairs. Yeah, like it's this dread where you're descending into hell. Like,
well, and it's weird because I actually have a recurring dream that I discover secret passageways in my house because that would be a dream come true for me.
Well, yeah, then you could get the square footage. We'll talk about that later.
If it had not been for the bed and blood and camera, the like deep dark passage,
you would love it.
Would have been like, oh my gosh, that's what happens in my alternate universe dream world.
Okay,
this is amazing, but it wasn't amazing. And Keith goes down there, but here's the thing: instead of him saying to try and get her attention because he's clearly in trouble,
well,
she goes to try and find him and he's not there, and he's clearly descended the further stairs.
Yes, you're right, but
and
he got snatched up. He got snatched.
Oh, you know what's funny is I never even considered that possibility.
You thought he went deep and then like got lost or something?
Well, no, I thought he went deep and then was screaming for her help rather than communicating.
But help for what?
Go get help because there is something down here.
Oh no, I think he got chased by something.
But instead he's screaming, help me, which he knows is going to result in her going down, which is incongruous with the way he is presented to be super chivalrous. Now, Sam explains this by saying, well, he was just freaked out. He didn't know what he was doing.
I think something bad happened to him.
Well, something very bad happened to him, obviously. But he still should have said,
are you victim blaming right now?
Yes.
Stop.
Well, remember that trouble I got in for the 911 call?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, something bad happened to him, and something further bad happened.
He needed to handle it better.
Well, Tess bravely goes downstairs after him because she doesn't want to leave him in peril, which is great. She does that a couple times. But when she finds him and they talk about what potentially is lurking down there, Keith gets his head smashed against a wall by a naked, inbred female beast.
I mean, a slightly more human version of the creatures in The Descent.
Great, with big old hanging boobs.
Byron style boobs we're talking
Come
right
on now. Relax.
Oh yeah, your girlfriend probably listens.
I don't think so, and I don't have a girlfriend.
You do.
Smashed to black. With the brains, of course. 2 weeks later, AJ.
Okay, so there are, I would say there are two hard pivots in this movie. Obtuse angle pivots.
Which you don't see it.
And I fucking loved it. It reminds me of what I love so much about the music that I like, where there are like 3 different types of music fused into one song. This was like awful. 3 totally different. Lonely Soul by Uncle is my best example of that, everybody. So many key changes and like style changes. It's amazing. And that's what I felt in this movie.
It's called different songs.
No, it's amazing. That's what happened in this movie. But wait a second. I do have a question though, Byron.
Of course.
Did it jump straight to that?
Yep. Tess.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No,
because I thought
the monster smashes Keith's head against the inside of the tunnel a whole bunch, and then all of a
I
sudden
thought it went to the Richard Brake scene next.
No.
Frank? Okay, hold on. Pause for 1 second.
Yeah.
Sarah Paxton played the nursing video narration.
Oh, which we do see in the deeper deep.
And she played the voice of Justin Long's assistant.
Okay.
On the phone, which is happening now.
Okay.
And she played the voice of Megan, who will be a character that you understand now. Go.
Great. Justin Long, sitcom actor, very surprised to see him because you just see a blink of him in the trailer. Big surprise.
What was that song he was singing?
I do know that it is about killing a snake, which is very interesting because in Tess's, hanging on her rearview mirror is a snake pendant.
Fascinating.
Yeah, there was a bunch of coincidences that Zach may not have really planned, but people pointed out later, like the house number was actually the year that the Barbarians conquered something.
Ricky Tikki Tavi by Donovan is the song.
Okay, well
Had
that's
never heard it before.
A mongoose killing a snake. Ricky Tikki Tavi, of course.
Yeah, it's a story.
Children's book and short, I think is a movie as well. He's driving down the PCH and he gets a phone call after singing a pretty cool song to himself. Not a great phone call though. The phone call informs him that
he really changed his mood.
Yeah, his team is letting him know that there's going to be an article in the Hollywood Reporter dropping the next day about a rape allegation, co-star of an upcoming a pilot that he shot, so a sitcom that was about to go into production, and that he is likely not going to be part of it
moving forward,
even after the investigation.
Yep.
He has a meeting with his business people who inform him that he's going to be broke in about 3 months unless he sells some of his property. And then they also say that they're going to be letting him go as a client as well, which is great.
Right.
It's really fun because Justin Long in Tusk as well, he's playing that same kind of character, this clueless, selfish,
narcissistic, chauvinistic, maybe misogynistic.
But to a lesser degree in Tusk than in this film.
Oh, yeah. He's way worse in this movie.
But same kind of vibe.
Just a D-bag.
Though. Yeah.
Just playing a...
He must have a lot of fun playing that character.
I think he does, too, because I get the sense that he is not that person.
No, I've heard that he's a very sweet guy.
Seems to be amazing.
And you've heard him on his podcast, right?
He's so kind.
So,
he has a podcast with his brother. They're so adorable.
That's really nice. But AJ decides to fly to Detroit to look at some of his property that he has there.
He was trying to unload the cheaper properties because he hadn't quite yet accepted the fact that his life was completely over.
Yeah.
So he was still trying to do like triage because he didn't realize that he was doomed to death already.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, it took him a while to kind of come to terms with that. He gets home and immediately calls his friend, as you do when you go to your hometown, and uses a hard F slur. Which, I got to say, I had a discussion about this, I think with your husband, actually, yesterday. Really, really effective in showing the character.
Again, it's about communication.
Yeah.
Guys that use that term now, like it's never been okay.
No.
Right? But guys who use it now are there's a completely different message delivered.
But also in the dynamic with your friends that you had during the era where it might have been acceptable. It just shows no personal growth.
Zero.
I think it was really effective. And in this context, I think it was perfect because it showed you exactly who AJ was.
Yep.
And he meets up with his friend. His friend is played by Zach Cregger, the director of this film.
Oh, that's who that was? Okay.
Nice little cameo. And they talk about the allegations, and turns out, like, yeah, he raped this woman and still thinks that it wasn't rape really, which is, it's interesting when you have a main character like this, you know?
I mean, it was complicated, but
I'm not rooting for him actively. He's not even like an anti-hero.
No, he's just a vehicle for the story to keep moving forward.
And he's a vehicle for Tess's way out.
Because she's the one we care about.
Yeah.
I'm real sad at this point that we've lost Keith.
Yeah, that was a bummer, but it was good to have him there.
It was good. It was good.
In following what was left behind by Tess and Keith, he ends up in the basement and eventually down the stairs, which he is very excited about this, all of this extra square footage.
Yeah, he's ecstatic.
Because he can sell the house for more money.
Completely unfazed by the very obvious signs that there has been
potentially sex
extreme
trafficking,
violence,
people being held prisoner.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's flipping a bed over while he's tape measuring everything in sight, adding up square footage, Googling what is like legal.
The only time he seems remotely spooked is when he realizes he's been sitting on the gross bed.
Yeah, just because it's gross.
Yeah.
But he continues downstairs while measuring this stuff, and that is where he bumps into Tess, who has been down there for 2 weeks.
And she's trying to tell him what he needs to do, but like a typical D-bag, refuses to listen.
She's kind of like info dumping, like, here's what you need to do.
Do this, do
this.
This
is
a
bad situation we're in. You need to. You need to suck the breast of this large deformed woman.
Well, it was actually just a bottle that came down at first.
Oh, you're right. But he didn't take the bottle. You got to drink it.
Yep.
Would you have drank it?
If Tess was screaming at me that this is what needed to happen, otherwise she was going to get...
She was keeping it
right.
very...
If Tess was very emphatically communicating that to me, yeah, I probably would have.
I probably would have too. Disgusting, though.
She seemed like she knew what she was talking about.
Just milk.
I would have trusted her.
Yeah.
But he probably didn't trust her because he's a man and she's a woman, and he's a man that probably doesn't think that women understand how to handle a situation like this.
That's probably true. But he pushed back and ended up in the lap of this woman being breastfed. Fuck.
I've got questions.
Yeah, what?
I mean, as the movie moves forward, we find out where she came from.
Via a flashback, kind of.
Which is an interesting flashback that I feel like...
Richard Brake, though. Good to see him.
He's
the best thing out of the zombie universe for you.
Well, I looked at him and Sam said, yeah, I know. The only good part of 31. Keep watching. Okay. I'm like,
Doomhead, of course.
Yeah.
I think he's in every Rob Zombie film.
He's great. He needs to be in more movies like this and fewer zombie movies.
I love him.
I mean, like
incredible.
A zombie movie is fine. Just a movie directed by
He's the chemist in Mandy too. Like he knocks it all out of the park, man.
He's fucking incredible.
But he's a piece of shit in this film.
I mean, he is in most movies.
That's true.
That's what he rolls with.
Yeah,
maybe he's like Justin Long and he's actually a really good guy.
I've heard interviews with him. Very sweet guy.
Awesome. It's a very interesting, I was imagining Byron being really excited about it because we get a 70s or 80s?
It was 1980.
It was a 1980 serial killer vignette is what we get.
It's a little bit more complicated than that. I don't know any serial killers that kidnap women and have sex with them and then have a baby and then have sex with that baby and then do it like
I'm
lot.
sure that has...
Oh, I guess there was the German guy who put his entire family in the basement and did that.
There you go.
Can't remember his name, but...
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Okay.
The part that I didn't get and that I probably need to stop overthinking is, but where did the deep underground tunnel come from? Sam's explanation was that there was probably a mine shaft there.
That's possible. I kept thinking that this was going to be some sort of ritualistic...
I'm so glad it didn't go that direction. It was so much cooler.
At the end, there was going to be some sort of larger conspiracy surrounding this thing. But nope, just one man being a fucking freak.
Yep.
That created a lot of awful situations. But where are the other women?
Dead, I would assume.
Okay, but all of them?
Yeah, I mean, inbreeding does not foretell a super healthy life.
Yeah. The flashback is a good transition into the third act of the film, though.
It was so well done.
It was one of those
so well done.
Quick turns that you were talking about.
Yep.
But it worked really well.
Worked really, really well.
Leads us into the third act where AJ and Tess are going to try to make their escape.
They are indeed. And
I guess we don't need to walk through the whole thing. Do you want to leave this final sequence?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
I think we should.
But all of it...
There were some surprises.
The end just is kind of a repeated question of, is AJ going to grow as a person?
And you think he might?
And he might.
I mean, like, for like a split second.
He could.
It grows, I think, and then it like...
You know, the finale of this was truly like the most roller coaster, bizarre situation that I've seen in a film in a very long time. It reminded me of...
There was some...
The absurdity of Don't Breathe, I guess?
Well, there were some movies and books that Sam was talking about that these reminded.
He was mentioning those.
Yeah. I'm not literate enough to remember what those were, but it was just so fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Do you want to skip highs and lows since we've been going?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
How about
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Sorry, guys. We really
apologies.
Realize that there's too much to talk about of this.
Yep.
What's your final score, though? I'll do it.
Yeah.
Don't Breathe meets kind of the social commentary of something like Get Out. It was like a good mesh of those two, almost a perfect mesh. Like Zach said in that interview, a great backdoor for social commentary. It had less weight to it, or a different kind of weight.
More effortless, I would say.
But it didn't change the message at all. Mm-hmm. And the absurdity of it almost makes it like it's like a midnighter version of a Jordan Peele film.
I think that's fun.
And I love the cast. I think it was incredible. I love seeing Justin Long do these kinds of roles because, like, he's really good at being a piece of shit.
So good.
Georgina Campbell, I've never seen anything that she's been in, to my knowledge.
I don't know that I have either.
She's now on my radar. Absolutely.
She was spectacular.
Incredible performance. The thing looked wonderful. And like I said, comedians make the best directors. Jordan Peele, Josh Rubin, and now we've got Zach Cregger, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I think he got announced doing something for DC, immediately getting the bump up to like the big leagues.
Jeez, that was quick. Hopefully, God, I feel like they rush people into that so much these days.
And if you can handle the heat, you're fine, but if not, you become an Adam Robidoll, and no one talks about you ever again. But I can't wait to hear what Zach does next, and for all those reasons, I give Barbarian 9.1 unopened bottles of wine.
Oh, did you know that it almost went to Efron?
Mm-mm.
So glad. I mean, I like Efron these days, but it should. Okay. Barbarian was the most extreme example of Byron being right and Kelly being wrong so far this year. It was really fun. I'm so glad we watched this. I'm so glad that I got Sam to go see it. Ironically, when I suggested we go see a movie last weekend, he said, "Is this another one that you have to watch for Frightday? Does it suck?"
Oh no.
No, that was just Beast. It's okay. Because that was the last one I drug him to.
He didn't hate Beast though.
But he
it wasn't good.
Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And then when we actually watched it, he was really excited that we had gone to see it. So it was a joyful experience. I had a ton of fun. And unlike Byron, I don't think that I can really compare this to anything. I think part of the reason I liked it so much was it felt pretty unique and new in terms of its approach to a number of things. I think there's a lot you can read into it, and I have no doubt that when I watch it a second and third time, there are going to be different things I get out of it. But it was the kind of movie that you can dig into social commentary, or you can just go and enjoy the shit out of, which is really nice. I can't wait to see what comes next from all of these people involved, actually, especially Zach. for all those reasons, I give Barbarian 9.2 broken door handles.
And those are our thoughts on Barbarian, which is in theaters now. And if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. Once you have, let us know what you think. Reach out to us on social media at Frightday on Twitter and Instagram. Contact@frightday.com is our email address. We could talk about it in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Frightday, or in the Discord server, discord.frightday.com. And quick correction, apparently he just wrote a script for something that is Batman adjacent, but he thinks it's really good and would like to make it.
Batman adjacent.
It's
I don't
in
even
the
know
DC
what that's
universe.
supposed to mean.
But he also said, quote, "I'm writing a horror movie right now. It's way more ambitious than Barbarian. It's way weirder, and I don't know if I'm going to pull it off."
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he can. But yeah, I'm so happy that we caught that in the theater. I don't know if we're going to catch Pearl next week with all the Lemuria talk that we're doing. But
so much Lemuria.
We might have to catch that on VOD.
Did you hear they're already making a third one?
Yes, I did. I have mixed feelings about that.
Well, I have to see this one before I decide whether it's a
either
good
way.
thing or
It's
not.
too many movies back to back. This isn't a TV show, Ty. Calm down.
Fairly true.
Yeah, but one thing I don't request enough is that people rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you just click the stars. It's really that easy. So I would really appreciate that. Of course, that gets us up charts and in new ears. Classic plug by Byron.
Thanks,
I haven't said that in a long time.
I know that reminds me of listening to the old ones.
Yeah, did that flutter a bit?
It was great.
Yeah, great.
It was great.
Yeah, but Kelly, until next week, where are you going to be?
I'm going to be researching Lemuria and waiting for I did create a Google form for you to share with our inner circle. And so I'm going to be waiting for people to fill that out. I did. Yeah. Yeah.
You could pay attention next time.
I was paying. I was engaged. Did you not think I was engaged? I was engaged.
Why don't you comment where you think Kelly quit paying attention and wrote up a Google Doc? I'm at Byron McKoy on Twitter and Instagram. Byron@frightday.com is my email address. And until next Frightday, I'm Byron.
I'm Kelly.
Stay on the first floor.
Yep.
And stay scared. You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McKoy. Theme music provided by Cemeteries. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.